Hello, and welcome to English and Immigration, the truth about Canada. So the topic of today's video is the question, is Canada really multicultural? Now, people before they immigrate to Canada often hear that Canada is multicultural, and that's one of the reasons people want to immigrate here, is that all the different cultures can live together. Now, it is true, part of it, and part of it is not exactly true. So what do I mean by that? If you're coming to Canada thinking, I can remain exactly the way I am, and I don't need to change, well, you are in for some surprises. There are two aspects to your life in Canada. And like I said, it's true that you don't need to change when it comes to things at home. When it comes to things like the foods you cook, or the clothes you wear at home, or the music you listen to. So all those things that you enjoy from your culture, you can keep them at home. And I should also say, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your church or mosque or any other place of worship, you can absolutely keep your culture, as long as it does not contradict Canadian law. There are laws in Canada that actually affect your home as well. For example, you cannot leave a child alone if the child is younger than 12 years old. So say you need to go shopping, you would have to take your child with you. Also, at home you can celebrate any of your cultural holidays, which is beautiful, but again, certain cultural practices might contradict the laws in Canada. Like animal sacrifice is not legal in Canada, so unfortunately you won't be able to do that. Now, the second half, and you probably already guessed what it is. I hope you have. So that's the difference at work. When it comes to culture in the workplace, there are certain rules and there are certain adjustments that you would need to make. So, for example, clothing, how you dress for work in Canada. Now, while some companies will allow you to keep your cultural dress, most companies in Canada expect you to dress the Canadian way. So you would need to change your clothes. Another thing, your food. People love their food, and at home, like I mentioned, you eat whatever you like, cook whatever you like, but when you bring your lunch to work, if that lunch has a very strong smell, for example, there's spices in it to make it really tasty, your coworkers might be offended by a very strong smell coming from the food. So you would need to adjust, you would need to change and bring the lunch that you can eat together with everybody in the same room. Canadians don't like strong smells, but Canadians are also polite and they will not tell you about it. They would just leave the room and they will never say, oh, it's because the fish that has that smell. So you need to know about this. This is something to know when you're learning about Canadian workplace, right? So strong smells, including, there's another one, including perfume. It may be your cultural tradition to wear some nice perfume. In Canada, many people are allergic and you cannot put any perfume on your body when you're coming to work. So those workplaces will actually say that they are scent free, means do not put any strong smells on your body coming to work. So that's part of it. Now, the next point at work is a little trickier. It's something that you cannot even see. You need to know about things like punctuality. What does it mean to come on time? Different countries see times differently. For example, in some cultures, if you're 5, 10, 15, half an hour late is okay. In Canada, 5 minutes late is about as much as you are forgiven for. So punctuality, you would need to follow Canadian rules if the rules from your country are different. Another rule that you would probably learn pretty quickly is eye contact. When it comes to eye contact, the meaning of eye contact in different cultures is different. So once you learn the Canadian way, again, you would need to adjust for the workplace. Handshake, different. Yes, different countries, different handshakes. Personal space, that's another one that tricks people. It's easy to learn about, it's hard to actually internalize it, hard to apply. Canadians don't like to stand close to other people. But again, being polite, they will never tell you about it. So you need to learn about this from elsewhere. And those are unwritten rules, so they're hard to find. How close do you stand to a Canadian, right? So, but there are websites now where you can learn about these things. The rules concerning equality, man, women. What if a woman is your boss? The rules about how do you talk to somebody who is a vice president versus who is somebody who is your co-worker. Is there a difference? Yes or no? There is a difference, but what does it mean in the Canadian culture? The rules about conversations. What topics are appropriate, which means good, for a conversation in Canada? So in your country, you may be discussing things like children, marriage, health. Is it okay to talk about these things in Canadian workplace? Some of them yes, some of them no. So time, initiative, silence. I mean, there are many of these rules, and certain things you would need to change if they're different from your first country's culture. Now, if you arrive in Canada and you never knew those rules, your life will be very difficult in the beginning. If you arrive prepared, if you learn these rules before coming to Canada, then you will be less shocked. You will be less confused and struggling. So how can you learn these rules? How can you learn Canadian culture? There are websites nowadays where you can go and read about these things. Now, you're probably wondering, why? If at home I keep everything, my culture, why can't I keep my culture at work? Well, multicultural means many cultures. We're all together, and to understand each other, how do we understand each other? By having a common language, right? We speak English, so we understand each other. How can we work together? We need a common culture, and we kind of all agree that this is Canadian culture. So Canadian culture is the language of the workplace, just as English is the language of the workplace. That's how it works. Now, last but not least, if you would like more information, we will make more videos in the future, but if you want it now, today, www.English and Immigration. And we are .com. If you'd like to visit and start learning today, right now, you can go ahead and visit our website. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.